This is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But they that wait upon the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the true power of heaven and earth, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continually teach us this truth. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect that's laboring in his word in truth and sincerity. Lord willing, this could be an edifying and an exhorting video. And in this video, it's going to be a quick video. I want to speak about a dream that I had last night. And I've had similar dreams like this. Okay, so pretty much in my dream last night, I was able to walk on the air like steps, like how you would go up steps and go down steps, like a stairway. I was able to do that with the air, and I was able to fly, with a thought at will. And, I don't remember every single detail in the dream. Mainly what I remember is that I was flying and I was around people and, they were looking in awe. And, I flew near for some reason, this ex of mine. I flew and she saw me. And, that's all I really remember. But, I had full control over what I was doing, And it reminds me of another dream that I had very similar to that. It was sometime last year. I was in my neighborhood where I live now, and I was able to walk on the air like steps. Like I was walking up in the air and then walking down, and some Jakes that stay where I live at, they came and surrounded me. They were like grabbing my legs and shit. And in my mind, I was thinking, I got to praise Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. I got to give the Lord his glory. And that's exactly what I did. Of course, man. What's the odds? As soon as I decided to do a video, bro. Hold on. It's a lot. I'm about to do a part 2. All right, yeah. So I'm going to merge. I'm going to merge the videos together. Pretty much had somebody come up and want to speak. Soon as I decided to do a video. But that's just how it goes, man. But, going back to what I was saying, in that, the dreams were similar. Okay, the one I had last night, I was able to walk on the air like steps. And then the one I had sometime last year, I was able to do the exact same thing, and the spirit was telling me, I got to glorify Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And that's exactly what I did. I was yelling it. I was like, call on Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. While the Jakes was like super excited, grabbing my legs and shit, But it made me think about this scripture, which I'm going to read it again. I'm going to start at verse 28, though. I just wanted to go straight to the point to set the tone of the video. But this is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 28. Hast thou not known? Hast thou not heard that the everlasting power, the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, the creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increaseth strength. And a good example of that is Samson. Okay? The Most High will actually send energy upon Samson. That's why I say the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him. The Lord would, however he does it, he imbued Samson with angelic abilities, man, to where he was able to kill 1,000 Philistines with a jawbone of an ass. And there's many other examples of spiritual power in the scriptures, man. King David was able to, speaks about how he was able to leap walls, leap very high. He could bend steel. He said, blessed be the power of Israel, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Because the Lord would imbue King David and his men with power to have, like, God-like reflexes when they on the battlefield, man. And that power is coming back, but in a greater way. Yahweh Shai, he was able to distort reality by how he multiplied food. He was able to read thoughts. He was able to walk on water. He was able to manipulate elements. He turned water into wine. He was able to teleport. When he got on the ship with his disciples, after he was walking on the water, it say they immediately arrived at their destination. Imagine seeing that, man. They immediately arrived at where they were going. So Yahweh Shai had, he was showing that power, man. And he said himself, the works that I do, ye shall do greater, because I return unto the Father. So beginning with the top men, I believe very soon, man, we gonna see the apostles, use that power, man, on down. And it's the spirit, because even at their last camp speaking, they spoke on it. Apostle Gabar was speaking on spiritual power, speaking on how, we gonna be healing people, and the word gonna get out, man. That's gonna bring in a lot of believers, man. That's why the scriptures say, real quick, let me grab this real quick, then I'm gonna jump back. Let me grab this real quick. This is Psalms 110:3. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness. From the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. So, mainly focusing on that top part, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, because a lot of people know about being an Israelite, man. People make fun of us. It's not a religion. It's our heritage. It's who we are as a people. You're not black. You're not Mexican. You're not Native American. You're not Guatemalan. You're not whatever, these terms that were put on you. You are the sons of Israel, man. Okay? We are the 12 tribes of Israel, which is the Most High chosen people. Okay? And, you had, like Drewski, he did that skit, which it showed the name of the Most High. But, I just show you, like, people look at us, they mock us because it pleases the Most High through the foolishness of preaching. It does look foolish in the eyes of men, we have a rough garment on, and, it looks foolish, but this is what the Lord requires, okay? And when he shows that power, it's going to be believers coming in big numbers, man. Crowds of people wanting to be healed, just like the time when Yahweh Shai was around, and even when he left, his disciples was using that power. I'm thinking about the account where Peter and John, they healed the man at the gate that couldn't walk. They healed him, and when they healed him, you had crowds of people come up, and it speaks about how thousands of believers came in. So hey, it's gonna be like that again, man. Okay, Jake gonna believe when they can see it, but like Yahweh Shai said, blessed are those that have not seen and yet do believe. But with balance, you got those that they gotta see to believe. But jumping back, because like I was saying, I was able to fly in my dream, man, and it felt real. The Lord is gonna show that power, man. I believe it's closer than we know, closer than we think, man. But this is Isaiah chapter 40, verse 29. I'm gonna read that again. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increaseth strength. So I mentioned Samson, and in today's time, we don't have no might. Even though brothers go to the gym, brothers work out, we still in this flesh, man. We still been eating all this garbage, GMO. We don't have the stamina. We on our own, we can't outrun, say Esau send these drones in. He sent drones in, robot dogs, robots. They got infrared vision. We ain't going to be able to outrun that, man. But the Lord, he's going to increase our strength, man. Brothers will have super strength. This is real, man. And it's only for the faithful, for those that believe. Because if you don't believe, you'll hear this, oh, he's crazy, man. But reading on, even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. So brothers going to be able to have, infinite stamina, man. I've heard a brother say he had a dream, brothers was running faster than cars on the highway. They get all, you think about Flash, these different superheroes, they get all that from the scriptures, man. A lot of inspiration comes from the scriptures. Even a Jujutsu Kaisen, for brothers that, watch anime, even Gege spoke about how he was inspired by the scriptures. Because there's a move in the show called Jacob's Ladder. And he was inspired by, in Genesis, where Jacob had that dream. And that show you that, Gege, he's a Jake, man, most likely. All right. But, a lot of inspiration for these superhero movies, it comes from the scriptures. Okay? And the Lord is about to showcase this power, man. And that's why superhero movies are pretty much the number one, genre in movies. People, love to go see these superhero movies. Okay, anime is at an all-time high. A lot of people are into anime now. And I believe it's because the Lord is building up that, what's the word I could use? Pretty much, he's getting ready to show his power. So everyone will know that Yahweh Bahashim Yahawashi is the true power of heaven and earth, because it's a scripture where the Lord spoke. He said, how shall my name be polluted among the heathen? And he's not going to allow, during these terrible times, those that trusted on his name, those that labored, he's not going to allow them to be down bad like everybody else. He's not going to allow people to mock his name anymore. Okay? You won't be able to say, well, where's your power? We going to be saying that to these people. Where the fuck is Allah at? Where the fuck is Jesus? We going to be mocking them. They're not going to mock us, because the Lord is going to show his power, man. And I strongly believe that. And I believe it's closer than we know. All right? And that's and when this happens, hey, Esau going fully come down on brothers, man. And I believe if we do put up videos on the internet, Esau going to say it's AI, just like they're saying with the Iran war, A lot of videos and stuff coming out, Trump saying it's AI. They're going to say that when the Lord give his men that power. This is Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. And when you look up standard in the blue letter, it means to put to flight or to turn around. So when Esau comes in, he come with that great wrath, because he see that his time is running out. And he's sending all his advanced tech, upon brothers. Because Esau really going to try to kill us, man, when the Lord show that power. The Lord, he's going to lift up that standard, man. And brothers going to be like Samson, but on a way greater level, man. What the scriptures say, let me grab this in Zechariah. Then I want to grab Isaiah, because this is another verse, another scripture in Isaiah, because this is how the Lord is going to make a man more precious than fine gold, an Israelite man of the elect more precious than fine gold. Not any man, not even any Israelite man, an Israelite prophet. Okay, he's going to make them more precious than fine gold. This is but this is Zechariah. Oh, not 13. Zechariah chapter 12, verse 8. In that day shall the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahawashi defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as Dawadah, and the house of Dawadah shall be as the Elohim, as the angel of the Lord before them. So the house of David is here, man. Okay, and King David, we know who he is. All right. Well, we believe him to be, the man King Marsha, which, makes sense. I believe it. Okay. And he's going to come back in his position. All right. He's at rest right now, but he's not dead. His spirit is still alive. All the men that, passed on, they're going to come back in their position. Okay. So King David, he's going to be back in his position. But during these times, the Lord is going to make the feeble men, the men of the Lord, because we're feeble, man. He's going to make us, like it says, shall be as David. And King David was a mighty warrior, man. Okay, his enemies feared him. Not this guy coming back again. It says, and the house of David shall be as the Elohim, as the angel of the Lord before them. So we're going to be like, because the angels got power, man. So we're going to have angelic like power, man. Okay, let me grab one. Let me make this quick, man. This Satan, man, can't even do a video in peace. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of Ophir. So the Lord is going to greatly manifest the value of his prophets during these times, because the prophets are the only ones who the Lord is dealing with, and who can guide you to the Lord, which the elect were chosen already. The 1/3 were already chosen from the foundation, but the Lord is going to use his prophets as a, pretty much as a guide. We can teach you about our power, tell you the names of our power, Yahweh, Wah, Yahweh Shai, and show you that power to show that he's real. Okay, and our people gonna believe, man. They gonna believe. So brothers are gonna be, man, because you're gonna have your sanity during these times, and the Lord dealing with you, man. All that 6 foot, 6 figures, all that bullshit ain't gonna mean nothing. But Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I'm gonna say shalom.